Welcome to this video. Today we will see how easy it can be to develop an application with the Qradar Application Editor. IBM has released an SDK to develop Qradar applications for more than a year now, but previously it was only let's say a full pack of a command line environment with a Python compiler, and you have to install the SDK on your own machines. It will consume some disk space, and most of all you will have to respect the life cycle, which was packing, deploying, testing, correct, and start again to develop and test your application. So as of today we have a new feature, we have a new application that has been released on the IBM Qradar marketplace, which is the Qradar App Editor. This is created and supported by IBM, and it's completely integrated within Qradar, which means we will be able to do live development, but we'll come to that later. Let's look at a simple use case. I want to inject more graphs into the offense detail page. Why? Because when you look at the offense detail page, we have a lot of information about the incident. Of course, we have the descriptions, that what happens, what is the incident itself. We have a reminder of all the events, all the flows that we are participating to that. We have information about the users, we have information about the IPs, log sources, categories that are participating to the offense, and even let's say the contributing rules that has been triggered to give information to the offense. So this is great, but we don't have anything that will show us what happens during the life cycle of the offense, something graphic that will show from the beginning to the end where were the peak and where were the events, the flows. Did we have many informations coming into our applications? But that's basically what I want to do today. It will be my day job, our day job today, enhancing the offense detail window. So as you can see on this screen, existing apps like Resilient are using an injection hook to implement their bridge between Qradar and the external world. What we will do in this video, I will show you how can we what we will do in this video, I will show you how can we inject our own stuff directly into the offense detail and creating this beautiful timeline. So let's start. We will start by looking at this new application, this new feature, which is application development, that you will find into the admin tab. So just go and click on that icon, and you will be able to create a new app or reload an existing app and modify everything. And you will of course have links that will give you access to the dev center, the support forum, whatever. Let's create a new app, a very simple one, which will be a Hello World app, something very basic for every developer in the world. So Qradar will install the application and everything that is needed to develop, enhance, and test this application. Once the installation has been finished, we can go back to Qradar and refresh our beautiful tool. And there we are. We have two new tabs. The first one will be obviously the tab that simply displays the Hello World sentence. And the second one is the complete integrated development environment. So if we look at briefly into that, you will see that we have the whole SDK that is directly embedded into this application, so we don't need to install it anywhere. We may take advantage of that wherever we do want. And we have three main files that help us create this simple Hello World. First, we have the manifest. The manifest is the place where we will define which injection points we will use. So in that case, we are just using areas because these are tabs. We will see later which injection point we will implement into this example. The second one is the view Python code, which is simply using Flask and Python, a redirection, a decoration of what we want to extract and then to render. in our case, we are just rendering the index.html, which is located into the templates folder. And again, this HTML code is very simple. Okay, now we want to modify that, and we want Hello World to appear directly into our offense detail page. So we will take advantage of the IBM Knowledge Center, and we have the full documentation of the Qradar app framework in there. So everything that you need is present on this page. Feel free to use it, it's extremely useful. In my case, what I do want to use is, as I said, fragments and injection points. Going to that, I will see a lot of different injection points. I will look for the one that I'm interested in. Okay, that's the one. I will have to inject fragments, and those fragments will use a part of Qradar which is the same, and the same refer to the offense engine, and it will be placed into the offense summary. So I will use that, copy and paste, and do some modification to the code and check the result. So I just did a very simple copy and paste and name my endpoint, the endpoint that I will use to render my page, my inside page, which is named frag offense. Of course, right now we don't need the Hello World area anymore, so we can remove it directly from the development. Okay, let's save the manifest.json and take a look at the view pipe. We will need to implement new entry point, new route, to be able to redirect what will happen when we are into the offense detail page. So again, I will do a copy and paste because I want to save some time within that video. Okay, copy and paste has been done, so we just have a few blocks of import stuff. I won't go into the details, this is something we will use later into the development. What has been modified, and I forgot to remove this one, I modified the index entry point and I put a parameter into that, okay, because I do want to be able to put parameter into the rendering of my index template. And of course I have created an entry point, a root point for my frag offense. It will be simply, right now it will be simply take the context of the offense, which is the offense ID, and put that into a custom HTML generator that will just return a very simple iframe, okay, with what is inside the index HTML. What has changed into the index HTML? Barely nothing. We have just add the decoration for the offense name, so you will be able to see that the offense name is correctly passed with the index HTML into the offense detail page, which is very important for the next steps. Let's see the results now. Now get back into an offense detail, and you can notice that we have a new entry point, which is hello world, and you have the message hello world 2195, which is exactly what we have just modified. Let's get further now and implement some more graphic stuff, just to see if it will fit into our screen. Again, I'm not a coder guru, so what I will do is simply go into something that already exists, which is a high chart. It's something that is free to use if you don't use it for a commercial purpose. And so I will take a basic line, a sample that is already ready, and check it quickly, edit it into JS fiddle, that will give me the full code. I will take that code and copy and paste into my index HTML page. There we are. So the copy and paste has been done, and we can now save that and check the result. Okay, so we have the result of what we have coded and asked the index HTML to render us. So very simply, this is the mockup that we wanted to have. Now the rest of the development is just connecting the data that we will retrieve into the views PI and redirect them into the index HTML. So I won't detail the full process. You will find the complete application linked with this video. I will just skip directly to the final results and just show you some part of the code that seems to be interesting. So this is the final code when the application is completely finished. There are some lines, not that many. If we get a quick look of the fragment view HTML, which is the template that we'll use to render, you will notice that we are using something that is called series. We will use this series variable to render everything that we have retrieved from the Arial database within the Views PI. So I will skip the detail into that. This is purely HighCharts API. It's not that complicated. Okay, just color things and setting the different axes and so on. So you will see the results. Let's skip to the Views PI. The Views PI is now containing some different functions. Well, if we look at these functions, we have this one, which is not useful to detail there. It's just used to transform the results of the queries to be able to be exploitable by HighCharts. The main thing that we have, if we get back to the very beginning, okay, we just remind that we had this root for the frag offense, for the offense context. So starting from this point, we will get some context. What is the application? What is the offense ID? So we have the offense ID. Well, that's very nice. So once we have the offense ID, we can ask our index entry point with the parameter to retrieve all the information needed using the API within the offense, that is mainly when the offense has started and when the offense has been updated from the very last time. This is something I will use extensively in the next calls of other functions that will help me to get the alerts, the flows, the events, because I will request them to return me how many events and flows and alerts has occurred between that time and that time for this very specific offense. Okay. And for that we will use a function that is called getElementFromOffense. If we go just a little bit higher, getElementFromOffense is a very simple, if we get a little bit above, getElementFromOffense is a very simple function. Okay, very few parameters, and we will just use that to create a query, so format a query. Something very simple because we just want, in fact, the time, the start time, and how many events has happened during this time, and then we will group them in order to be able to show something graphical, step by step, minutes per minute, second per second. And of course we will have to handle specific case like, okay, for the events we want to separate the alerts from the other events. So the log sources ID for the alerts is 63. And for the flows we don't have that problem because we will take all the flows that are used into that. Once it's done, everything is passed to the fragments view, HTML, and we will get the final result. Final result, again, if we open the same offense that we opened previously, now contains every different steps. Okay, so we can see graphically when we had activity and when we had no activity at all. This is separated by events, flows, alerts, and so on. So let's say I don't want to see the events, I just want to see the alerts and the flows. Well, you can have a look on this, okay, and zoom and check what has happened between 4 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. So many flows, okay, came in, and some alerts explaining that probably we had a large outbound transfer with high rate or whatever. So this is one part of my activity within the offense. But that's very fancy because I can see what are my different steps. Okay, and if the offense was very active at the beginning, at the end, if it's constant, non-constant, and when I have those information, it's much more easy for me to go into the events themselves or the flows and ask Qradar to do the job it has been designed for, which is investigating. Well, again, this application, which is not a very complicated one, but it has been completely created with the Qradar Application Editor. Okay, nothing has been done outside of Qradar. Everything has been coded live, developed live, tested live. So again, a very beautiful application, and I strongly advise you to go into the Qradar Application Marketplace, download it, and use this if you want to do some development on Qradar again. Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye.